The voicemail came in at 2 a.m. It was my uncle's voice, flattened, like something had been squeezed out of it. He said he'd made his decision. He said he was done explaining himself to people who couldn't understand. He said the divorce papers were signed, the ticket was booked. He was moving to Lagos. I sat in the dark of my bedroom, phone in my hand. I thought about the man who used to take me fishing when I was 9 years old. Then the message ended. The same man who'd been married for over 30 years? The same man who 12 months ago had never in his life sent money to a stranger on the internet. What happened to him? And how did we miss it until it was almost too late? You have to understand the specific texture of the world when this started. It was that strange, stretched out period when everyone's social life had been compressed into a screen. TikTok had become something different from what anyone expected. Not just teenagers doing dances, but a place where adults and lonely adults and people whose routines had been gutted were suddenly finding connection. The algorithm didn't care about age or geography. It just found the gap in you and filled it. My uncle was 65. He'd been with my aunt for decades, a marriage that, like many long marriages, had settled into something more functional than romantic. He wasn't unhappy exactly, but he was the kind of man who had more time on his hands than he knew what to do with, and a phone that had become a window to a world that was suddenly more interesting than the one outside his door. That's when he found her. Or more accurately, that's when she found him. Her name was Amara. She was in her early 20s and Lagos-based, and she appeared on his For You page the way these things do, out of nowhere and perfectly timed, like the algorithm had done the math on exactly what a man like him was missing. She was warm. She was attentive. She told him things that made him feel seen in a way he hadn't felt in years. He didn't tell any of us for months. That should have been the first sign that this was something he was protecting and not sharing. By the time my cousin noticed he was acting differently, the money had already started moving. It started small, a few €100. She was dealing with something, a family situation, a medical bill, one of those sudden emergencies that arrive with just enough detail to be convincing. He sent it without hesitation. He told himself it was generosity. He told himself this was what you did for someone you cared about. Then the ask got bigger. She wanted to come to Europe. She wanted to be with him, to leave Lagos and to build a life somewhere new. She needed money for the visa application, for the fees and the documentation and the processing costs. He sent it. Of course he sent it, because in his mind, this was an investment in a future. This was the money that would bring her to him. The visa was denied. You already know why. But here's the thing about a well-run manipulation. It doesn't end when the first story falls apart. It pivots. There were new obstacles and new needs and new reasons why the money needed to keep moving. And my uncle, who by this point had reorganized his entire emotional world around this woman, couldn't afford to let himself see what was happening. To see it would mean losing her, and losing her had become unthinkable. My aunt found out the way these things tend to come out. Not all at once, but in pieces. A bank statement, a question that got a strange answer, a phone left unlocked at the wrong moment. The confrontation was ugly, in the way only 30-year marriages can be when they crack open. My uncle didn't deny it. He didn't try to hide it. He just said, she's real, and she loves me, and I'm not going to let my family decide who I care about. He moved out of the house within the month. By the time the rest of us fully understood what was happening, the divorce proceedings were already in motion. My uncle had gone from a 65-year-old retired man with a stable life to someone who was actively dismantling everything he built. For a woman none of us had ever seen in person, who had failed to produce a single verifiable document, and who had received a number we still couldn't calculate in total transfers. We tried everything. His brother sat with him for 3 hours one Sunday afternoon and walked through every red flag, one by one, slowly and without accusation. My uncle nodded along and then said the thing he always said, "You don't know her like I do." We found the scam patterns online, the romance fraud playbook, documented in horrifying detail by people who'd been through it. We printed it out. We showed him the matching steps, the love bombing, the visa story, the escalating financial requests. He looked at it. He said the people who wrote it didn't know his situation. We contacted his bank. That was maybe the most painful part. Watching a man fight to protect access to money he was sending to someone who was stealing from him. And then he announced he was going to Lagos. Not for a holiday, not to finally meet her and test the reality. He was gonna move there. He was gonna marry her. He had a plan that made sense in his head. He would live in Lagos, and they would build a life together, and everyone who had doubted him would eventually understand. My family didn't sleep properly for weeks after that. The fear wasn't abstract. Romance fraud victims who travel to meet their targets sometimes don't come back safely. They're documented cases, people lured into situations they couldn't get out of, robbery. Worse, my uncle was a 65-year-old European man arriving in an unfamiliar city with money in his account and love in his eyes. The calculus of that was terrifying. We went through every option we had left. We contacted his doctor, quietly and carefully, because watching someone you love make decisions that seem completely divorced from the person you knew will make you question everything. We spoke to a lawyer about whether there was any legal mechanism available. There wasn't really. He was an adult. He had the right to make catastrophic choices. What finally reached him was his daughter, my cousin. She didn't argue with him about the scam. She didn't show him evidence or read him statistics. She just told him what it felt like to watch her father disappear. What it was doing to her, what she was afraid of. She sat across from him and she cried, and she made it real in a way that the logic hadn't. He didn't cancel the trip, but he postponed it. And in that pause, a few weeks that felt like borrowed time, something shifted slightly. Not a full awakening, and not the dramatic movie moment where the curtain falls and the person sees clearly, but a crack. He started asking small questions he hadn't asked before. He noticed that certain details didn't quite line up. He admitted just once to my cousin that he wasn't sure anymore. He hasn't moved to Lagos. He hasn't married her. The money is gone, a significant amount that he'll likely never recover. His marriage is over. Those 30-plus years and that life he built, none of that came back when the fog started to lift. The cost of this, even in the best-case version of how it ends, is enormous. He is sitting somewhere right now in a reality that looks nothing like it did 2 years ago, and I don't think he fully understands yet what was done to him, or how precisely it was done, or how many men like him are sitting in that same place right now. There is a specific, refined cruelty in romance fraud that I don't think we talk about enough. It doesn't just take money. It takes the version of yourself that you offered to someone you trusted. It exploits the parts of a person that are most human. The desire to be loved and to still be chosen and to believe that something real and unexpected can arrive in the second half of a life. It finds the loneliness that people carry quietly and it turns it into a weapon against them. And it happens on platforms that were designed to keep you watching and keep you engaged and keep you feeling connected without ever being responsible for what that connection costs you. My uncle is still my uncle. He's smaller somehow in a way that has nothing to do with his body. We don't talk about Amara anymore. We don't mention the money or the divorce or the flight he almost took. We just talk about normal things, about the weather and about old memories and about whatever's on television. But I think about the version of him that used to exist. The man who took me fishing, who thought he had his life figured out, who opened an app one evening and found something that looked exactly like what he'd been missing. I don't blame him for reaching toward it. I blame the people who built the trap and waited for someone exactly like him to fall in. If this story made you feel something, listening. And if it made you feel anger or grief or that specific helplessness of watching someone you love walk towards something you can't stop, then you already understand why this channel exists. We tell the stories that don't have clean endings, because those are the ones that matter most. Subscribe if you want to be here for the next one.